I had some hillbilly motherfucker trying to school me, give me some history lesson, trying to teach me about American history and slavery and so on and so forth. I was like thinking to myself, wait a second, are you making this shit up? Are you giving me a history lesson or are you fucking telling me you making up some shit here? I thought he was asking me questions, but he wasn't. He was trying to fucking, those kind of people that seem like they get paid by the word. Some of these cunts just want to fucking hear themselves talk. They don't give a fuck what you say. And I did listen. I didn't get to say much, but there's some dumb motherfuckers out there. They come up with some shit. They hear some fucking dumbass motherfucker read some shit on fucking some propaganda news site or some stupid ass motherfucking fucking movie that stretches the truth, right? Embellishes stuff, right? You can't trust anything on TV. Sometimes it's mostly accurate. Some of them are mostly accurate, and some of them not. I think this prick took a lot of his fucking information from a 1950s cartoon of history. But when I made this podcast, I wasn't intending to debunk anybody, but actually just to analyze, different perspectives of people that write in these dumbass motherfucking things, right? I mean, and we're just going through memoirs and different books and shit like that, right? And so a lot of these books come from the memoirs. A lot of history books come from memoirs, and then they write their fucking spin-off on it, right? Well, here we're going through every fucking day by day of the memoirs here, right? And I put my comedy and my opinion on some of it, but we're talking the actual facts. We're going by facts of daily shit through the through memoirs, where they don't. They take out a couple little facts and then fill in the blank with fucking their opinions. And those people that read that shit or listen to that shit take those opinions as facts, So what we're doing here is we're going to continue on the day-to-day of Christopher Columbus, and he's in Hispaniola now. If you've seen the last episode, if not, go fuck yourself, or go look it up and check it out. So anyways, we left off in the last episode with Columbus having half of his crew with some kind of sickness, and or it was about a third. And he sent a couple captains in a couple directions to search for gold and scope out areas. And one party went to Cibao, and the other one to Niti, where the Canabo guy was that supposedly killed people, right? And when those two crews returned on January 20th, and then the other crew came on the January 21st in the year 1494, both crews found a lot of gold in those areas. They're like, man, we made it rich, man. We got a lot of gold over here, man. And in the writings, they're like, we are the richest, coolest, luckiest motherfuckers in the world, right? We found all this gold in the Haiti, Dominican Republic area, in the Hispaniola. It's still to this day rich in those minerals, right? But now they got black gang members eating people. It's a little bit different over there now. If Christopher Columbus would have showed up to this island in present day, he'd probably be like, you know what, guys? I changed my mind. Let's go home. There's black people eating people there. Let's just go back to Europe. Screw it. I think there's a guy named Barbecue that's eating people. He's the gang leader. And there's videos of him. I had him on X. I had a video of him eating people, but that video has been taken down. I'm sure it still exists somewhere if you search for it. So it is happening in Haiti. Anyways, let's move on. Back to Christopher Columbus. Okay. So anyways, these guys thought they made it rich. They're like, next time we go back to Europe, we're going to have a bunch of ships come and be able to, enough ships to carry away all these amounts of gold that we found in these areas. And these were in the writings of Dr. Chanca while he was in Hispaniola. And they had sent Alonso de Ojeda to be accompanied with like 14 other men to look for this gold in Cibao. He's like, man, we made it rich, man. I bet you those dudes had like a bunch of their gold in their pocket. And they're like, what's in your pocket? He's like, nothing. So anyways, on February 2nd of 1494, some 12 ships made their way back to Spain with this riches and some of the news that they had of what's happening in the American islands. And they also wanted the sovereigns to to get them involved and be like, this is what we need to do, guys. We need this many ships, this much food, so on and so forth, right? I've been going over all these memoirs and notes from this time period, and man, they're so fucked up. They're just like all religious. It's like pages and pages and pages of bullshit talk. They're like, and the Almighty Father and God and the King, to our wonderful people that sailed across the sea, and our Admiral, how great he is, and how blessed we are from the Creator. The Creator's so great, and everything's great because of the Creator. And it just fucking rambles on like that for pages. It just fucking rephrases itself like pages of it, I swear. Maybe I'll do an episode of how boring that shit is to read. But there's like little instances where there's some regular communication. Or regular speech, right? Something tangible to digest. So up until this point, Columbus was trading with the natives gold for. He was receiving gold for whatever he gave to the natives at the time, and now they found like a really rich area in Hispaniola, and Columbus had built a small fort near the present day town of La Vega in the Central Dominican Republic. And he had this fort built with the intentions of protecting the route to the gold deposits in the Cibao Valley. And Concepcion de Vega was a settlement built in that area. During the year 1508, with the amount of gold found there, Concepcion was, or has been noted by some as America's first gold boom town. So there you go. Interesting stuff there, huh? There's some useless information, but interesting, right? And by the year 1510, like a couple years later, when they started mining the place, Concepcion became one of the largest, the most financially important cities of that area. And then, but there was like, some people started moving out to other areas and looking for more gold, but there was an earthquake in the year 1562 that destroyed the city, and the survivors relocated to the present area of La Vega. And the area turned into farmland for many decades and centuries until the Dominican Republic bought the land and turned it into present-day National Park of Concepcion de la Vega. Pretty interesting stuff. So you could actually go there and check it out. In 1994, some archaeologists from the Florida Museum, yes, Florida. What the fuck you doing here? We like your stuff, man. From the Florida Museum of Natural History came to the site to inspect the area, and they came with the intention to survey the original size of the city. And earlier, archaeologists found buried stone buildings and aqueduct water system that was present in the city at the time. They also found old water wells and the remains of a monastery of San Francisco that was built in the year 1502, which is also where the location of Bartolomé de las Casas, the first mass, was given. You all know who Bartolomé de las Casas is, don't you? If you don't, just wait. I was going over his stuff today, too. But anyways, they also wanted to inspect, these archaeologists from Florida wanted to inspect over 200,000 artifacts that were found in the area that were of the city before the earthquake. And they gathered that the city was the largest of that time in the Americas. But although it was only like less than a half mile in both directions. So how fucking big was that city? You could like walk through the whole city like within like an hour. So small. But to them it was big. Right? But because this area brought in all the gold that came from the area, it was such a rich area that brought in luxury goods that were exported from like a bunch of diverse locations. Like there was Venetian glassware and ornate furniture and different things for the horses, and a lot of books were found in the area. There was more diversity of things, of luxury goods, more than any other place in that site or in that area of that time period. And there was also these types of ceramics that were made in the area by the Indians, known as the Ceramica Indo-Hispano, which are completely unique to the Americas, which have cultural elements of that of the Caribbean, South American, Central American, and European elements in these pots. And a lot of the natives died in the area in order to mine the gold, and these ceramic pots remind a lot of people of the fate of the natives of that area, that who either died from sickness or being overworked or so on and so forth. And we're gonna get into Bartolome de las Casas writings later, when things get really crazy after the death of Christopher Columbus. Now, a lot of these writings come from Dr. Chanca, but there's a good amount coming from Hernando Colon, which is Christopher Columbus's son. And he also wrote about this Ojeda guy that went and found the gold in Cibao. And Hernando wrote that after this Ojeda guy left Isabella for Cibao, he had stopped in a harbor, and he writes a little bit about this guy, his trip to find the gold. And he stopped at a harbor, and there was a bunch of caziques there, and who had treated him with great courtesy and were giving him a bunch of stuff, just like Columbus had witnessed on his first trip. And then he finally made it to Cibao on his 6th day of his journey, and a bunch of Indians were panning gold in the stream, which I guess the gold was really rich in the area, and that's when they're like, man, this is great. And they went back to Columbus and told him about it, and Columbus like, we got to do something about it, man. And they did. And on Wednesday, March 12th, in the year 1494, Columbus and his people left Isabella for Cibao in order to check out these gold fields with all his men that were not sick and dying. He left a couple guys to guard Isabella and the sick people, and they went off and started in a new area, which was in Cibao. And you could just imagine how many guys were pissed off that were sick or had to guard Isabella, right? While the other guys went up to look for gold. Because a lot of the people actually came to America in hopes to find gold and get rich, right? And so, like, when they found out, like, it wasn't easy getting gold and gold wasn't everywhere, they're, like, pissed off. And it was hard for them to mine the gold and find the gold in different places. And they were searching and digging, as I had mentioned in previous episodes. And at the same time, they were building their town. So they were overworked. All these Europeans were overworked by building and then digging for gold. And so at the time, and then a lot of people were sick, like I said. So it was a pretty rough time for them. And there was a lot of people that were pissed off and angry at that particular moment because of that. They thought it was just going to be as easy as just stepping off land, finding gold, putting it in their pockets, and going back home, being rich, find a nice girl, and eat some fish, right? Didn't happen that way. So Hernando Colon also wrote that people were sick because of the climate and the food that they were eating on the islands. So who knows why they were sick, but that's what he mentioned there, and there was a couple people, and Dr. Chanca also mentioned it too, so I guess they weren't sick until they got to the islands, but maybe they were sick in Europe, and it just didn't hit them until they got to the islands. You don't know. But anyways, yeah, everybody was pissed off, or a lot of people were, and they were planning to overthrow Christopher Columbus and denounce him as the boss. So there's this chief instigator dude named Bernal de Pisa, who thought that they could overthrow Columbus and then steal all the gold and make their way back to Castile and leave Columbus there and be like, you bastard, we got your stuff, man. Have fun eating tacos. So this Bernal de Pisa was an accountant for the sovereigns. And when Columbus learned about these guys trying to overthrow him, he took this Pisa dude and stuck him in the ship in a little jail cell in the ship, and it was going to intend to return him to Castile with a list of his crimes, of his revolts, or his attempted revolt, right? Because it was all secret at the time. And he's like, man, I'm putting him in jail in our ship, and then we're gonna take him back, and he's gonna be sad. So at this time, things start to seem a little bit weird, don't they? Yeah, they've just found a whole bunch of gold. Now everybody wanted to get their hands on it. And Christopher Columbus is like, well, some of you stay here that are sick, and then the other ones protect the place, and the rest of us are going to go find some gold and fill our pockets and then give the rest back to Spain, right? I think it was a tenth. They're going to keep a tenth of it and give the rest back to the sovereigns, whatever it was. But yeah, and so everybody was pissed off, and they're like, no, man, I want to fill my pockets with gold too. And he's like, no, you're sick, and you guys need to stay here and protect it. The other guys need to protect it. Like, man, we're overthrowing you. So it goes, right? So was Christopher Columbus really a nationalist that was like, hey, man, I'm getting this gold for Spain, and then I'm going to get myself rich because I'm going to get a percentage of it? Or was he just trying to fill his own pockets up? We don't know. But for what's written here, that other people wanted to get rich off of the gold and maybe give a little bit back to Spain. Who knows? That's what was written. And that goes to show you can't trust anybody you work with. They're all pricks. Everybody's trying to screw you at work. It's all about money and power. Yeah, so anyways, don't subscribe to this and send it to your enemies. They'll hate you for it. Adios.